Mamdouh lived in a small, quiet village. The village was nestled in a valley, surrounded by rolling hills and dense forests. At night, the sky was a blanket of stars twinkling brightly above the rooftops. The houses were close together, their walls almost touching. Everyone knew everyone, and the sense of community was strong. Neighbors often gathered in the evenings to share stories and laughter under the moonlight. It was a peaceful place, where the only sounds at night were the rustling of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. The village streets were serene, bathed in the soft glow of lanterns, except for the cemetery. The cemetery was old, with weathered tombstones that told tales of generations past. It stood as a silent witness to the village's history. It was at the edge of the village, hidden by tall, dark trees that seemed to whisper secrets in the wind. The path to the cemetery was overgrown and seldom used. People said strange things happened there. On misty nights, eerie shadows danced among the graves and whispers could be heard, though no one was there. No one dared to go near it at night. The villagers believed it was haunted, and tales of ghostly apparitions kept them away. Mamdouh was a curious boy. He often wondered about the cemetery and the stories that surrounded it. His curiosity was a flame that burned brightly, even in the darkest of nights. He was not afraid of the dark. The night was his playground, and he loved exploring the village under the cover of darkness. The shadows were his friends and the moonlight his guide. He was not afraid of stories. Ghost stories in particular fascinated him. He would listen intently to the elders' tales, his imagination running wild with images of spirits and phantoms. But that the cemetery made him uneasy. Despite his bravery, there was something about the old graveyard that sent shivers down his spine. The air around it felt different, heavier, as if it held secrets that were better left undisturbed. Every night, Mamdouh's family followed the same routine. They ate dinner together, sharing stories and laughter as they enjoyed their meal. The warm glow of the candlelight created a cozy atmosphere, making these moments feel special and intimate. After dinner, they gathered around the oil lamp. The dim light cast long shadows on the walls as they shared stories. Each family member took turns recounting tales of the past, dreams for the future, and sometimes even spooky legends that sent shivers down their spines. Finally, as the night deepened, they prepared for bed. The house grew quiet as each person settled into their own space, the comforting routine lulling them into a sense of peace and security. Outside, the village was enveloped in silence. The streets were empty, bathed in the soft glow of the moonlight. No dogs barked, no owls hooted. It was a stillness that felt both serene and unsettling. This eerie silence was almost unnatural, as if the village itself was holding its breath. It was a quiet that seemed to amplify every small sound, making the night feel even more mysterious. One night, something changed. Mamdouh heard a sound. It was a soft, low whistle, barely audible but distinct enough to catch his attention. He sat up, straining to hear more. He tried to ignore it, convincing himself it was just his imagination. But the sound persisted, making it difficult for him to fall back asleep. He tossed and turned, his mind racing with thoughts of what could be causing the noise. The once comforting silence of the night now felt oppressive and filled with unknown possibilities. The next night, the sound returned. It was closer this time. It seemed to be coming from the window. Mamdouh got out of bed. He peeked through the curtains. There was nothing there. But the whistling continued. It was joined by another sound, a soft, rhythmic tapping. Mamdouh felt a chill run down his spine. He jumped back into bed, pulling the covers over his head. Fear and curiosity. Mamdouh couldn't sleep for nights. The sounds continued, whistling, tapping. Sometimes he imagined he heard voices. He was terrified, but he was also curious. He told his friends about the sounds. They laughed. They said he was dreaming, but Mamdouh knew they were real. He decided to find out what was making them. The terrifying scream. One night, Mamdouh couldn't take it anymore. He had to know what was causing those dreadful noises that haunted his nights. He crept out of his house, his heart pounding in his chest, and walked towards the cemetery. The sounds were louder now, echoing through the still night air, closer and more menacing than ever before. He reached the gate, its rusty hinges creaking as he pushed it open. A cold wind hit him, sending shivers down his spine. The air was thick with an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves. Suddenly, a terrifying scream split the night, piercing through the darkness like a knife. Mamdouh's instincts kicked in. He turned and ran, his feet barely touching the ground. He ran faster than he ever had, the scream still echoing in his ears. The shadows seemed to chase him, growing darker and more ominous with every step. He didn't stop until he was safely back in his house. The door slammed shut behind him. The sounds continued to haunt the nights, but Mamdouh had learned his lesson. He never went near the cemetery again. Some things are best left undisturbed, hidden in the shadows where they belong. The mystery of the scream remained unsolved, a chilling reminder of the unknown horrors that lurk in the dark.